clueless as they bring back the word transitory. What's up, everybody? Welcome aboard to Bubba's Bottom Line for Sunday, March the 23rd, March Madness. It's been not as much March Madness as usual, but it's been a good tournament as we continue to watch. But of course, the Fed met on Wednesday, and they talked about transitory inflation. Have they not been talking about transitory inflation for 6 or 7 years now? I mean, it's a joke, and it's not going to get any better. In fact, the Fed President Williams says the uncertainty is high and is shifting and shifting U.S. economic policies. One of the things I can tell you is if the Fed would get out of the way, we could have a true free market. But they continue to get involved and have no clue of what they're doing. They're still using models that they were designed in 1913. I've gave you the comparison before. The Model T was built in 1913, and of course, the Fed started, and now what do we have? We've got the luxury cars and still the same old Fed. We need to end the Fed or at least get a fair audit. It is ridiculous already. And of course, there's a big talk about the restructuring of the U.S. monetary system, which would be great because, of course, we run on this paper, this fiat currency, which is total bullshit. Okay, it is allowing the governments to steal money. It is allowing the governments to print versus having a real economy with real money. And of course, the Bretton Woods Act was a joke. And now we need to go back to either gold or there's talk maybe there'll be crypto backing the currency. But currency has to have some sort of backing that doesn't allow things to get out of control. I think that is a definite, whatever you want to use to back it. But the whole fiat currency, the whole central banking system is a bunch of criminals or a cartel. I think it's time to end it. And we've seen that the Fed has uploaded or updated their inflation forecast, and they think that inflation is going higher. Well, gee, you think when you run your ridiculous policies, why wouldn't you expect them to go higher? I mean, again, you cannot keep interest rates low. You can't keep worrying about cutting rates because the cut does not help the average consumer. The cut helps the banks make a bigger profit. Okay, that's what it comes down to. It gives the banks the ability to have a larger spread on their lending money versus what they're borrowing it at. So, I mean, again, I think it's about time that we let the free market decide what interest rate should be and stop with the bullshit. We've seen now that Trump is going to sign the bill to end the Department of Education, and we will talk about that in our commentary, but I'm all for it. Just if you're wondering, I'm all for it. Burgum orders nearly 20 million acres in Alaska opened up for oil and gas development, and I'm all for that too. Drill, baby, drill. Again, I think that we have to make use of our own resources. You've got all the world depending on what we do, and I think we need to be self-dependent. I think that the tariffs are great. I think that that opening up the oil in Alaska is great. Again, you're not going to affect the environment. I think that's a bunch of hogwash. I think that when you look at the bigger picture, we need to get oil going. We need to rebuild this country. We need to rebuild the infrastructure. You want to get to natural and green energy? Go to nuclear. There's plenty of nuclear power. Again, this is something that I don't understand why we're worried about solar and wind power when we can use nuclear power, which is cleaner, better, and more efficient, and in greater supply at less cost. But of course, then they couldn't tax us and steal money based on their stupid ass green energy policies. Again, you want green? Nuclear. That's the simple answer to take care of that. Boeing got big news last week. They're going to build the U.S. Air Force next gen fighter stealth fighter jet, which is good for Boeing. They've had enough bad luck for quite a while. It's good to see that they're going to get something good, and of course, made in America, which we like. As you know, I'm a big believer in America, and I would rather see everything made in America. I don't want to deal with China or anybody else. And again, I'd like to see us become an island. But according to European leaders, they're starting to draft a plan, a 5 to 10 year plan to replace the U.S. and NATO. Okay. Well, again, do you think they're really going to replace us? They don't pay now. So who do you think is going to collect the money of their share of NATO. Again, I don't understand, why don't you just pay the bill and then you'll have the U.S.'s support? I think that that's a much better deal. Of course, we've got high-speed justice now with all the idiots that are burning Teslas. 3 of the anti-Teslas hit with terrorists with federal charges in terrorism. So again, I think that's really good. Again, I'm happy to see a little bit more law and order in this country. I'm happy to see us sending back the illegals to where they belong, especially the criminals. Again, I think you want to come to this country, come like everybody else did, come legally. I think that there's a lot of problems in this country because of the illegals, and it's the first one is money, okay? Because we're all paying for it, and I don't know if you're paying your tax dollars for illegal immigration, but I certainly don't, and I certainly don't like what's going on in this country. From the people in San Jose leasing out their vans for homeless people to live. I mean, again, let's take care of this country and not worry about everybody else's country right now. And of course, there's another budget crisis in Los Angeles. Jesus, what a shock. Okay, their deficit now is $1 billion, and layoffs are inevitable. Well, again, we know the jobs market stinks anyway, so more layoffs. We can continue to hide behind all of the things that are going on. But at the end of the day, okay, we have to be more efficient, just like the Pentagon needs to be more efficient on their wasted dollars. We waste so much money in this country, and so much money is unaccounted for, that it is a tragedy that we, the taxpayer, have to pay for all these criminal acts and everything else that's going on in this country that we're paying for, when they have no idea where the Social Security money is. They have no idea where all these benefits that people get, half of them are debt, okay? And again, I think it's time to put your foot down and say, enough. I'm tired of paying taxes for people who are collecting money that don't deserve to collect it, for politicians that are pocketing the money, for the bad deals that are made on our behalf. I think that's a joke. I think it's ridiculous, and I think it needs to stop. That's the way I see it. This is Bubba's Bottom Line, Todd Bubba Horwitz. It is Sunday, March 23rd, March Madness. And of course, we're going to step out of here for a break, and we'll be right back with our market report after the break. What's up, kids? Just a reminder of our sponsors, and you know that our sponsors are mostly brokerage partners. And again, I have many brokers, and I'm not telling you that you have to trade with those brokers. What I'm doing is I'm recommending who I believe are the best for my people. And of course, one is Capital Trading Group, CTG. They are partners with us in a couple of programs, and they do a great letter of direction business. But check them out. Their links are scrolling on the side or on the bottom. And of course, TRADIER Brokerage, $10 a month flat, saves me over $100,000 a year in commission. They do a lot of great things, and all of our automation works with TRADIER. So if you're interested in our automation, it does work with TRADIER, so you can check it out. And of course, we don't charge for our equity models. We only charge for our hedging model. So you can use the automation if you choose to. And of course, ITM Trading, which is our gold and silver provider. That's where I bought all my gold and silver for years. Great people, great folks, and we're very well recommended by my friend Daniel Cambone as well. And of course, SpookyExpress.com. If you're looking for an offshore bookmaker, check them out, SpookyExpress.com. And of course, don't forget about our high school program. Again, we're trying to rebuild it, but again, it's hard with what's going on and with the destruction that they've done with our education system, which again, we're getting in our commentary. In the meantime, let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line with me, Todd Bubba Horwitz, and our market update. Welcome back. It is Bubba's Bottom Line, Todd Bubba Horwitz, and of course, markets are still in trouble. The equities are all below the 200-day moving average, and of course, there's an old saying on Wall Street: the bulls live above the 200-day, the bears live below. And I would suspect we might see some more rallying into the 200-day moving average before they sell off again. I think we are in trouble. I think we are going to start to see some lower prices. Now, in full disclosure, we are still long the indexes because I do expect one more big juicy pop, which will take us back up to around the 200-day moving average. And I would think that would be time to unload. But as we take a look at the rest of the markets, the dollar, which got hammered last week, we would be long dollars. And again, if you're worried about tariffs, the dollar has come down enough to overcome the amount of the tariffs if you're someone who wants to go into that game. The euro currency had a little bit of a rough end of the week, and we're still short it. Bonds and notes, We're pretty much flat to a little bit higher. We're still short, but I believe those are going to collapse. I think they're, first of all, overbought, number one. Number two, I think interest rates are going higher. So we're still short bonds and notes. Bitcoin continues to vacillate. And everybody who laughed when I said it was going to 85,000, well, now 85,000 has become resistance. So again, we're still long Bitcoin, but again, it's got to get through that 85,000. Gold continues to run up. Of course, on Friday, it got hammered a little bit, but it still came off the lows. It was down almost $37. Only it closed down on 22 on Friday. But I think gold, I'm targeting 2,700 on gold. That's where I'm looking for. Not tomorrow, not next week. Just in the next big move, I think will be lower. Silver, we have no position. It really just continues to churn. It was a little bit overbought, but it continues to churn. Platinum, we don't trade, but we would be short if we did. Copper, we are short, and copper ran is over $5 again, which is interesting because I believe we're in a recession. I don't understand what the hell copper's doing up here, but I think they call a lot of people short, and we'll see. The grain markets continue to struggle. They continue to be range bound with very little going on, a lack of real interest, a lack of volume, and the shorts are still very much in control of the grain market. In the meats, cattle continues to run higher. I don't understand it, again, but at the end of the day, we're not fighting it. We don't trade it. I do occasionally. I'm looking for a spot to get short, but at the end, I think that you'll see a 20 to 25% haircut in cattle. When it's going to come, I can't tell you, and I'm certainly not going to get in the way of it here. And hogs continue to struggle, which doesn't make sense either. When you look at the economy, you would think cattle would be going lower and hogs would be going higher, but right now it's vice versa. Crude continues to languish in that 66 to 70 range. We have no position in it right now, but it's right now mid-range. I'd certainly be a seller at 70. Natural gas is coming down again. We're short. And again, as I said, we are long the four major indices still. At the end of the day, again, I think we're going to get one more big rally. I think this year we will see a big bear market, which means down over 20%. At the point now, I'm not going to say when. I don't know when, but I will give you that's where I'm looking at. And I think you're going to start to see a lot more weakness as we go into the next earnings season. But we'll see how it plays out. In the meantime, this is Bubba's Bottom Line. Todd Bubba Horwitz. Let's step Bubba out for our final break and come back with my commentary. Well, kids, just a reminder, Capital Trading Group, TRADIER Brokerage, ITM Trading, SpookyExpress.com, and of course, our high school program. They're all scrolling on the sides of the bottom. I'm not going to talk you through it. In the meantime, let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line and, of course, my commentary and a couple of basketball picks as we gave you a couple of winners so far, and hopefully we can keep the train moving. Back to Bubba's Bottom Line and my commentary. Welcome back. It is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, March the 23rd. And, of course, we talked about the Department of Education. And, of course, if you don't know, the Department of Education was started under Jimmy Carter. We were number one in the world in education, okay? Now, 50 years later, approximately, we are now number 40 and have pissed away more money in our system, in our education system for garbage. And for example, okay, my high school program, which is in many high schools, but we can't get in because nobody wants to teach it because the teachers don't give a shit because they just want to get their paychecks. I'm not saying all teachers, I'm saying in general. They don't want change, okay? I gave it away to them for free. I financed that. So I'm happy to see the end of the Department of Education. I think there's better ways to spend our money. I'm happy to see the way things are working. And again, it takes little steps to make it to affect change. And I think this is a great step because our education in this country is horrible. If you look at Harvard and they want to fire people that don't believe in DEI, if you look at all the stuff that's going on with the trans crap in schools and everything else, I think that it's time to put the hammer down and get rid of it. That's the way I see it. This is Bubba's Bottom Line. And of course, I do have two basketball picks for today, and that would be Alabama and Iowa State. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you back here tomorrow with the Bubba's Daily Update. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you later.